It's been some crazy energies, hey? I've spoken with a couple other friends of mine who are also clairvoyants, and we were kind of comparing notes. But what we saw was really, well, let's just say dark. And it was something coming in on the wind. I've seen these entities before, and I'm starting to see a resurgence of them. And the last time I saw this actually was 2020. And 2020 was the first time I had ever witnessed the veil being ripped open in our world, and these creatures literally crawling into our dimension. But all I do know is it was some air creature that came roaring in and was devastating. I mean, even on the Coquihalla Highway, semis were knocked over. And when I looked at the footage, and a friend of mine drove down to the coast, looked at the trees and the ravaging, it was just like something came through with so much anger. It was absolutely insane. That kind of gets me thinking that there are collective loops and collective loops of energy. Those can be used for shadow, for light. It can be used whatever way. If you're consciously aware of them, they happen at different seasons. And we just had the eclipse seasons, and that's usually actually, I've now seen a pattern with these eclipses that there's some very strange stuff that happens, and made some connections that there has been some occult rituals that do get performed. And magic, well, I'm not even going to get into that one, but let's just say, like, something that is ritualistically done over and over, put into the quantum field, the quantum etheric field, the plasmic field, however you want to define it. There are people that have been doing this for a long time, but to their own gain, through rituals. And there's a mass, and also getting people to participate in these rituals without even knowing that you're participating in these rituals. And it's creating these distortion loops within our timeline. So like I said, I've noticed on eclipse season, that's when things get really wonky. We can look at all the different patterns through, let's just look at like Christmas. Like, there's always like these extreme ups and downs around Christmas time that literally I think everybody can kind of agree upon, that there will be super high charges followed by, I call it the sugar crash, right? And I do believe that that is the way that our energies are being loosed, are being harvested. And by us participating in these, we are allowing ourselves and our energies to be harvested. That is draining our vital life force. That is taking away our creative essence. That is draining our energy. We're becoming more fatigued. And the more fatigued we get, the more brain fog we have, the more we can't think clearly, the more we're not acting out of our own sovereign authority, and we're acting on autopilot. I was having this conversation today about actually autopilot, and how a lot of times we do things because we're not in our center. And collectively, the entire world has gone through mass amounts of trauma. And I do feel like the key to this is us healing our nervous system and healing our bodies, which will help us heal mentally, physically, and emotionally as well. And to get to there, though, like, I'm sure there's many roads that lead to Rome. So I don't know what the answer is. I don't think that you know, we have to sit here and go, oh, we're not gonna participate in anything. I think becoming consciously aware of things and moving from a place of conscious awareness. And the next step too is to move from a place of self-care and finding our center, right? And how do we find our center? Well, sometimes by finding our center is like putting ourselves in neutral, right? It's like if you're driving a car, you're putting yourself in neutral and you're in that absolute pause place. And this is what all of the Buddhist teachings, you know, talk about, getting to that place of neutrality. Because from a place of neutrality, we're able to navigate with more I literally can't talk today, with more consciousness awareness. So therefore we're making actions that are in alignment with our needs first. And that's self-care. So primarily, when we're in a place where we're filling up our own cup and we're making choices and taking actions based on our needs, then we are able to make more conscious choices, right? And it's not an easy process to get to that point, especially when you have a busy life and, you know, we have all these different things going on all the time. Not everybody gets the luxury of being able to go on a 5-year spiritual pilgrimage, but those of us that have, I wouldn't say it's luxury, but you come back from that with a lot of knowledge and a lot of wisdom that you can share with others to hopefully help them navigate with a little bit more ease, and to make this journey a little less painful. Because I do think suffering's essential. If we don't have pain, we don't move, we don't change. Pain is a great motivating factor. I don't even think a lot of stuff has to do with willpower or anything else. Yeah, sure, those are like ingredients in the cake kind of thing. I don't know that they're the main ingredients. You know, definitely having a positive mindset and having that willpower to keep going and keep doing things, and putting one foot in front of the other when things are challenging. That's sort of the action of it, but what's the catalyst? And I've been thinking about this so much. Honestly, it's not until we have a fire lit under our arse, generally, do we make any changes. Because if we're too comfortable, we become complacent and compliant. And it's just too easy to coast, right? And then, all right, middle, mediocre, it's good enough, right? All the stories that you have heard of, I guarantee you, if you just think of people's stories that might have inspired you in the past, all the stories have the same formula. Is usually the people that have made the greatest changes within their lives and other people's lives, that story generally started with a tragedy, and that person learning how to overcome those obstacles. That pain and that suffering gives us purpose. I know, it's so messed up in such a crazy kind of way, but it does give us purpose. I also think that's why our systems are the way that they are. We have fast food everything. Everything's convenient. Everything's quick fix, right? There are no real quick fixes that are sustainable and long term. That is not a thing. It is literally a lifelong process. So this sort of fast food culture that we have from everything, I mean literally fast food, to spiritual fast food, to mental health fast food, of how we can, get from point A to point B the fastest. I don't think that's reality. Just based on my personal experience. And I know for myself, I had to get to a place where I felt so freaking uncomfortable with people, places, and things that I had to wake up one day and go, screw this, I'm done. And basically light my world on fire and walk away. And that is not an easy thing to do. And most people don't want to do that. Most people don't think that they have the ability to do that. Well, I can tell you, you can if you want to. We can actually do anything we want to do. And that mindset, that is something I've always had. I have never believed that there are limitations. I already know that any of the restrictions and governors are self-imposed. And sometimes they're there for a reason. Sometimes those self-imposed governors keep us safe. And that's needed at the time until we're ready to take that governor off. So being gentle with ourselves and knowing that sometimes we do have limitations and we do have restrictions, but that is actually in our greatest and best good, that brought me peace. That brought me peace of mind and was helped to be able to sort of chip away one thing at a time, making little micro adjustments, working on eliminating things that did not feel good in the body. Period. That's literally it. Whether that be certain foods, slowly weaning away from certain environments, being around certain people that did not leave me feeling uplifted. And that's the other thing too that I think a lot of people fear, is that social isolation and having the strength to be able to say, you know what, we're just not on the same resonance right now. And sometimes we just have to go inwards and we have to have our alone quiet time in order to recalibrate ourselves and to find our center place so that we can actually just be inside of our body and feel ourselves so that we know what is right and wrong. Or I don't even want to say right or wrong, but what feels right for us, what feels good in the body. Because what feels right for us is good for the heart and the soul. And that is soul food. That feeds us. That feeds us that spiritual nourishment. And when we're constantly allowing toxic energies into our life, we never really know where center is. And when we don't know where that is, how can we make any rational, healthy choices and know what is even right for us until we get to that place? It's a bit of a tricky road, but once you understand that, and once you start practicing, even just daily, just sitting with yourself and sitting in that quiet space of going, this is what it feels like to be absolutely neutral, right? No emotional attachment to anything, just neutral thoughts, and making decisions from that place of neutrality. If something is making you feel rushed or panicked, I would pause, because a lot of times something isn't right with that, right? Then we're not in our flow state. That's how we start to achieve flow state, is by taking aligned action, but it's by taking that action from the place of neutrality, and it feels like you're being swept away in a gentle current, not being drug or tossed around. That's not flow state. And it takes a long time and a lot of practice, and it takes conscious awareness of that to reach that place of flow state. And once you start to get little tastes of that flow state, it becomes almost addictive. And then you protect your peace, and you have so much boundaries around you that nothing will impede upon that flow state. So I don't know, I'm thinking maybe I might get into this a little bit more, because I was actually quite surprised how, okay, I do live a little bit of a sheltered life. I literally have just started to come online and see the whole internet world. What a shit show. Oh my God, I am so glad that I have been sheltered most of my life. And by sheltered, I mean connected with nature and disconnected from online, because I really think that is ruining humanity. And here I am online. Irony. But I suppose, you know what, it's a tool. And if there's enough of us that get on here and start to share our wisdom and learn from each other and help raise the collective consciousness, then it can be a phenomenal tool. Or it can be an absolute shit show. I suppose it's a choose your own adventure either way. Anyways, I rambled on long enough. Okay, take care of yourself and take care of each other. Bye.